Alright, how's it going everybody? And welcome back to another live stream. I'm your host Frenzy, and today, very small stream because I have to wake up very early tomorrow. And I do know that, like, the Wiz is going to be on the smaller end here. This is not the point. Honestly, we're going to make a somewhat of a push to Marleybone. I don't think we're going to be able to beat the Marleybone, only because the stream is going to be relatively short. But also I need to train Pet real quick. But today, I want to actually go through some of the spells. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time now, since the spells were getting teased, but I just didn't really have enough time because of exams and stuff, and I will be having exams around tomorrow, not tomorrow, I'll be on my trip tomorrow, but I will be having exams the week of coming back from the trip. I will be going to Cali for a few days celebrating my sister's birthday. It's going to be pretty awesome. I will say, I will be lying to you if I say that I wasn't nervous. This is actually going to be my first time traveling on plane. And I've never traveled on the plane before, so that's going to be an experience. But you know what? I'm going to have good old, what's the name? Invincible, bro. We're going to have Invincible. I'm going to be watching Invincible on the plane in airplane mode because we're going to download that stuff. It's going to be awesome. But today I wanted to do some questing, just kind of have something going while also focusing on what we're mainly focused on, which is going to be this right here. If I can pull it up now. There we go. Okay, where is my main capture? I'm sorry for the scuffness, by the way, chat. It's gonna be a minute. This is kind of somewhat last minute, somewhat not last minute. I just didn't expect myself to come back so late after everything. The main window. There you go. That's exactly what we wanted. Also, I don't know why my chat's not loading. Can I get that back? Let's see, YouTube chat? Hello? YouTube chat, hello? Why? Can I just log out and log back in? Is that a thing I can do? I wonder. Cause like, I can't see chat, which is weird. Okay, logging in. I mean, if not, I think my overlay should be able to pick it up, hopefully. Oh, this is no bueno. Okay. Okay, cool. Alright. Are we good? I think we're good. I think we're back. Let me remove this real quick. Okay. Okay, I can see chat now. So if anyone's speaking, I should be able to see you now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Okay. Yep, that's muted. That should be good. Alright, you should be in the clear for now. But welcome, everyone. And today, we're actually going to be going over the recent tease spells. There has been more spells, I believe, that are going to be within this update, but I don't think we'll have time for it for various reasons. Real life stuff, and also just exams and everything. But we will be going over the stuff that's teased, though. So what we have here is the tier list of, from S tier being the all reliable tier, to A tier, all the way down to brother what, you are burning down the kitchen tier, because you are not cooking. You're letting that thing fry up, and it's not going to be great, let me tell you. It's going to be full of charcoal. That's what you're cooking. You're cooking charcoal. So that's what that tier is. And yeah, so without further ado, let's actually get started. Let me actually get into a fight, though. I think that's like the most important thing, is to make sure we get into a fight. But we're going to try to go through this like relatively quick, and let's just hope for the best, really. All right, so I think we were like chasing Moriarty or something. Oh yeah, don't I have like a teleporter? Oh, okay, this kind of takes me there, I suppose. But yeah, I'm gonna have this game pretty relatively small, only because the main meat and potatoes is going to be this tier list right here. Man, I have a really scuffed intro. You know what? Can we do it again? I feel like we can do it again, right? Yeah, we could do it again in case I want to make it into a video. Why not? Why not? How's everyone doing? And welcome back to another video, maybe not a video, who knows? But I am your host Frenzy, and today we are actually going to be going over the recent teased spells from the spring test realm update. I did hear there's actually going to be more spells coming up as well within the update, but I don't think we'll have time to go over every single one of them. So I just kind of want to get more into the meat and potatoes of what was at least teased from a handful of content creators, and they should be on the screen here if I do turn into a video. But for the meantime, as I try to get into a battle, we're gonna actually start with the different tiers. We got from Oh Reliable tier replacing S tier all the way down to Brother What, as in you are burning down the kitchen and it is no longer food anymore. You are basically making charcoal tier. And there's gonna definitely be some spells that go into this tier. And this is going to be based on the relatively usefulness in PvE. At the end of the day, Blade into AoE is always going to be the preferred option in general PvE. I will not be discussing it in terms of advanced content, mainly because I don't do advanced content. But I do think some of these spells can see the light of day to some niche or another, you know, either for fun or it could be relatively useful in some fights in this tier list here. So if you happen to have any disagreements or like to have a discussion, let me know down in the comments. But there's a lot of walking, I'll tell you that much. There's a ton of walking. Welcome to the walking simulator. Honestly though, I'll be real, I think Marleybone in Wiz is not all that great. Like, I think it's fine. But like, dude, Pirate 101 though? Pirate 101 Marleybone? Oh yeah, that's a different beast out there, man. It's amazing. I love Pirate 101 Marleybone. It's great. But yeah, as we're trying to get to a fight, there you go. That's what we've been waiting for. Ooh, this could actually be pretty good though. I could either use a Thieving Dragon or a Frostbite. Honestly though, I don't think I will ever be using Thieving Dragon. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It does like negative damage. I'm basically healing my enemies. Alright. Also, what I realized is that we are not showcasing the tier list. So I should probably do that. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna start things off with this evil Sandman here, or the balanced Sandman. I don't know why the picture's like that, but what you can see here is you have a minus 65% shield if you happen to have a weakness of a maximum of 3. This honestly is what I like to personally kind of call the balance tier, because a lot of the balance spells are very interesting. It's kind of like a productive type of situation where they want you to perform different, like, I guess you can say kind of like a gambit. I don't know if you can really call it a gambit, but they want you to do like a specific type of conditional where there isn't really that much benefit to it. And honestly, in general PvE, that's way too much setup. Like, I would say around, I think 2 rounds is probably like a decent threshold, but anything beyond that is just way too much. Like 3 is too much, and sometimes 1 could be like a too little situation. Like, it's not that great. Again, the general Sandman evil snowman exists for spellements version, which is much better because you're able to actually clear the weaknesses, and I think that's actually a lot more ideal than to simply just, you know, have it where, oh, you just happen to have 3 weaknesses on you, but you don't remove anything. So in terms of benefits, it's very low. So we're gonna put this in the Brother What tier. We have this gnomes here. I don't know why the pictures are like that. Why are the pictures like that? Why is it hard to see the spell as to what it's called? But this is like, I guess you could say the balance gnome. Balance gnome, honestly, if we are taking a look at it here, you have 570 bounce damage and you get a 465 heal overtime over 4 rounds per DOT on yourself. Honestly, it probably would depend on the pip cost, but considering that like you need gnomes and Hydra, it's probably going to be a relatively high pip cost. Again, unfortunately, I don't know why the spells are like this. I don't know why I can't see the full picture of the spell. It's a little odd. I don't even know if I can increase the size. Yeah, I don't really think you can increase the size here, which is a little weird. Yeah, you're just gonna have to live with it, I guess. But yeah, I would say this is probably probably like D tier worthy. I think it's meh. Chances are the pip cost is going to be relatively high, so we're probably just going to leave it right here for now. What we have here next is going to be the Ice Centaur, which I think this is actually going to be for life wizards, if I'm not mistaken. So with this spell, you clear 3 weaknesses and get a 30% life blade, then you do 410 damage. Honestly, this is probably going to definitely be in the all reliable tier. Again, getting those blades is huge. It's great in many situations in Arc for like Novus, where there's a lot of weakness spam. There's a lot of enemies who tend to do weakness spam, and I think that's definitely going to be a common thing you'll see. So I would say, yeah, this definitely goes. It's either between A tier or all reliable tier, but honestly, weakness clears are great, and getting those blades is really solid. So definitely going into all reliable tier, in my opinion. I guess you could call this the Frost Snake or so, or like the Ice Snake. And this one is you do damage and then you clear an aura for a 30% Storm Blade. How do we feel about this one is the question. Honestly, not too bad. It doesn't seem like it's too bad. I don't know what the pip cost is. My guess is like maybe it costs like 3 pips or so. I could be wrong. Again, I kind of wish the pictures weren't like this so I can actually see the pip cost. And honestly, I'm thinking to myself, I should have just made a tier list of my own, right? And just simply, you know, get the full picture of all of them. But maybe if I look it up through like Final Bastion or something, I can see the pip cost. But I would say, as it stands, it's fine. I think at C is fine. It's decent in scenarios where you really want to clear, like, auras, but again, they can just reapply the aura relatively easily again. So I guess in certain situations where, like, you want to have, like, a buff while also removing, like, their aura, but have a shield breaker at the same time, I guess it's okay. But they can always just reapply it back. I don't really think it's necessarily worth that much of investment for it in general PvE, but I think it's fine. What it does, it gets the job done, and that's kind of all you can really ask for. So I would say for now, I'll probably leave it at C. I want to see if maybe like I can search it up through like Final Bastion or something. That would be amazing. All right, we have a Balanced Triton, and as I click a card. So, Balanced Triton here, we got 215 bounce damage, and you get a 40% Storm Blade if the enemy has a heal over time. Yeah, that's a Brother What tier. I feel like a lot of the balance spells are definitely going to go into the Brother What tier, and really just the fact that, like, again, way too conditional. That's my issue with a lot of balance ones, is that it's way too conditional. And if it was, like, a scenario where, I guess, like, you know, it just heal over times come more often. There's a lot more heal over time type enemies, then sure, I guess, but I just don't think it's that good. One of my issues with really just bounce Rochambeau's type stuff, or like the Magic Wheel, I guess, it's just way too conditional, and it's one of those situations where you don't really get that return that is favorable for you, in the sense that it just takes way too long. It'll take way too long to set up, it's way too niche to set up, and it doesn't really have that much reliability beyond when that one specific condition is met, which, to be fair, it's like a lot of the gambits, but there's a lot of gambits you can kind of build up to. Bounds, for some reason, a lot of them kind of don't really do that, so that's definitely an issue for me personally. Dark and Stormy. So I think they did change these, and I won't be talking too much about the shadow spells that are simply just like the damage ones, because a lot of them is just like, okay, yeah, whatever, like, you know, I guess it just does more damage, and you already will prefer to do the PvE version anyway. But what we have here is 900 damage, storm damage, and 720 heal overtime. This is basically just like Berry Surprise, but I guess slightly stronger. Like, it's fine. I will say though, I personally think if they're going to be making these values the way they are, chances are they're probably going to be nerfing some of the lore spells for sure. So I guess for now, like, we'll put it like maybe in C. It's okay. Rizolka's Wrath, 905 storm damage, and you get a 40%. Is that a chromatic aura? Wow. That's pretty good, actually. I think a lot of people still rock the PvE version, just because, like, again, you typically want to use Rizolka as a boss killer anyway. So I would say, honestly, for what it is, I think it's pretty good. We'll probably put it in C, though. Frost Elf. So basically 620 ice damage over time, and then you clear an aura for another overtime. Pretty niche. So I will probably say this is like D tier in my opinion. Alright, Balance Wolf. So you get 690 balance damage, or you gambit 2 traps and a heal overtime for 970. Again, way too much setup. It's just, no. Even in like specific PvE scenarios, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work as well as you think it would. Alright, Heckhound. We have 405 fire damage and a 50% fire trap. This is a general fire trap. That's a very hefty trap. If you have a heal overtime. Honestly, this is pretty good. I say this is B. Because I think the original version, you just kind of get like very hefty overtime damage. I think it does a little bit more overtime damage. I could be wrong on that one, but I think as it stands, like it's pretty solid. Like that's a very hefty overtime trap. And also getting heal overtimes isn't really that difficult on the Fire Wizard. You could just kind of like use spells like Link, Power Link on mobs and simply use the spell like a boss as you try to remove weaknesses or so. Then you just kind of get set up with like a series of hits. Perhaps like a FFA, I believe, if it still keeps the trap. I would assume it still keeps the trap. And with the use of FFA, if it doesn't kill, you could just do another FFA. Like, you could do quite a bit of decent combos with this. So I would say this is definitely like B tier worthy. Also, do I have a teleporter here? Oh yeah, there was a teleporter here. We could definitely use that. I do apologize if I'm having a hard time just kind of multitasking here. We're doing the best we can. Listen, we're trying to get some content out, okay? I think we gotta go to Scotland Roofyard, yeah? Yeah. I forget how, like, OP this character is. Okay. What's next? Owen's Endgame. Brother what tier? Why would anyone use this? Mockenspiel. 470 damage and 2 minus 35 weaknesses. Yeah, I think it's fine in D. I guess it's okay, but you probably will prefer the original version anyway. Scion of Balance. Let's take a look at this one. So, I think this is the PvP allowed version. As you know, there's a PvE version and a PvP, PvE version and the PvP version. And they both do different things. At the time, though, they used to be separate cards, so you can only use one card that is specifically only meant for PvE and nothing else, and then another card that's for PvP. So I think what they did is that they allowed it where you can actually have spellements, have both paths, and you can just decide either or, which I think is fantastic, because some of the Scion spells in PvE are just not the best. And if we take a look at Balanced Scion, though, so what we have here is 980 damage. We keep the 11 pips here. My guess is this is the PvP allowed version. If the enemy has 11 pips, then you do around double the damage, so like 1960 damage. I think this is slightly more than double damage, actually. I think this is fine. I will say, though, I don't necessarily think bosses really get to those pips often, but there are some times where bosses tend to get like at the very start they get a lot of pips and stuff, and they don't really use much spells. They kind of use like very light spells, and they'll definitely get around the 11 pip threshold pretty easily. There also could be some cheats that come along the way that gives bosses a lot of pips. So I would say this is probably niche territory. So yeah, we'll put it at C for now. Sandworm. Honestly, not bad. You know, you basically get 40 universal traps, 2 of them. If that's for every enemy, I would say this is like... This is probably B tier worthy. This could be useful in the mob boss formula. Not useful in terms of the mobs formula, just because typically, like, when you're using AoEs in mob fights, you typically just want to, you know, defeat enemies relatively quickly within the AoE in one swoop. But in boss mob formula, I think that could be really useful. Maybe in certain fights where you're not able to do as much damage, it can also be useful. The buff is nice. So I would say this definitely, it's probably around B tier. Again, maybe it's because I don't necessarily understand 100% as to how the spell's gonna work. And yes, we do have test room right now, but unfortunately I don't have time to just test all these spells. That's just the way it is. But yeah, I would say as it stands, assuming that like every selected target gets the 2 traps, I would say it's definitely gonna have its use. It's definitely BT worthy. I still think Headcount might be a little bit better, just because you could definitely have a better chance of killing mobs easily with Headcount. Well, not killing mobs, but rather a boss. Not killing boss. Oh man, I messed up my words here. Headcount could be useful in scenarios where you're just trying to get like an easy buff, and maybe you can just want to remove a weakness. But yeah, I would probably move this down a little bit here, because you probably would just want to use this in situations where you have a weakness and you still want to have some sort of like buff. I would say it's probably maybe here. And Sandworm is probably B, just because you can universally use this pretty easily. Do I have my converts? Yes, I do. Okay, first of all, I need my convert. Wow. Wow. Okay. I guess we'll just do this. Take out the mob ASAP. He's bound, so it could definitely spell some bad news, that's for sure. But yeah, I think Sandworm is pretty solid. Mob boss scenarios are definitely going to be pretty good with this card, assuming that like every enemy that's selected gets this. Nested Fury though, selected 550 damage and a negative aura of minus 30%. So the problem with this spell, honestly, that I have is definitely going to be the fact that like negative auras can just be removed with using another aura. In situations with like NPCs, like not necessarily NPCs, in situations with like, well, I guess yeah, NPCs. In situations with like bosses and stuff, one of the most common things they do is usually when you do damage to them, they will usually try to automatically apply some form of aura. Or if they're like offensive enemies, then they like to apply, well, some type of defensive aura. And then if it's like an enemy that is offensive, they try to put an offensive aura almost right away. So yeah, I would say this is in Brother What tier. Gaze of Fate here. So what we have here is 240 balance damage and random damage with a global. I mean, this could be good as like a mob killer, and you get a global field. I think this is pretty good as like a mob killer. Like this is the only field that balance can get other than like a power pip one. So yeah, it could definitely have its uses. I think this is A tier. Just because like there's not really another way for balance to simply just get their damage globals than this card, to my knowledge. The Frost Raw, I guess you want to call it that. You have a selective target of 595 ice damage and then a minus 55% shield, universal shield, per charm on the enemy. My guess is this costs like what, 6-8 pips or something like that? This one's like okay. It's very niche. Will I see this potentially being viable or like even somewhat used in PvE? Not really. I would say definitely is not worthy brother what tier. I think there could be some uses for this, like if you're doing like an endurance battle. There's a lot of endurance battles in this game, and something like this can be pretty useful, but I would probably put it like maybe right here. Alright, let's see. Shadowhorn. 460 damage. Oh yeah, this is just kind of D tier. It's not terrible, but you prefer using the... It's not great, it's not terrible. I don't think it's worthy of the brother what tier. Maybe someone will find a use for this. Like, objectively, the weaknesses can be useful, but like, do you really need them? No. Plus, there's just better options. There's just, you know, you could just use your original Shadowhorn, because you probably would rather use it as like a boss killer. So that is my take on Shadowhorn. Oh, what am I going against? Oh, Deadly Scratcher. Oh, they're like right here. Nice. There's a bunch of them here. Oh, I just picked the wrong version of Scratchers. Can I just do this? Hold on. Let me cook, chat. Let me cook. Check this out. Shoot. Alright, let me cook. Let me cook. Hold on. 2 times the charm, y'all. I promise. Check this out. Oh, frick. Alright. 3 times the charm. Check this out. The strats. The strats. The strats. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to fight them now. Alright. Sounds good. Shouldn't take too long to kill them either, though. You think 1 blade and a blizzard should do it? I hope so. But yeah, as I was saying, again, not terrible. Way better options out there, though. I don't think it deserves the brother what tier. Alright, Snowball Barrage. So this version, 545, I mean, this is like, whatever. If we're talking about, like, the top path, though, this is the only top path low-key I care about, because everything else is like, yeah, it just does more damage, that's great. But this one, though, it acts like a Tempest card in the top path. If it was like that version, easily all reliable tier, right? But for this version, D. Probably like over here. I don't even know if this is the right organization for them. I just kind of have them there just cause. Alright, Cataclysm. So what we have here is 325 selected target damage, and you apply a minus 70% shield to yourself. I don't really think I will see many people using this. I think a lot of the R2 spellements kind of get that covered for you pretty well. Also, Evil Snowman exists, and it's objectively a lot better in my opinion. I'd say this is probably like C. It can have its use, but there's just better options around, like, off the bat. Abominable Weaver. 455 damage and minus 70% universal shield. Again, you would prefer just using this for damage, in my opinion. Honestly, this is not even organized, chat. Like, I'll be real. Alright, Scion of Ice. 960 ice damage, or you Gambit 4 shields. This is already better than the original, bro. I am so sorry. Yeah, we're gonna put that in all reliable tier. It is very easy to set up shields, in general. Especially, like, as an ice. Where, for example, let's say, like, someone weakness spams you. Well, simply just, like, Evil Snowman Spellment version. You get all those shields for yourself. You have, like, an elemental shield. You don't even need all that much. Like, it is much better than what it was previously. You will have to have a specific amount of health in order to do practically, like, double damage. So I would say, yeah, this is definitely the better version. How much more do we got left? Okay, we only got like 2 lines. So we should be done in a few. Okay, let's see. Freeze Ray. Again, it's kind of whatever. S'mores Machine. 860 fire overtime damage. 2 of them. You get 2 dots for 4 rounds. And a 660 heal. I mean, this could definitely be, like, somewhat combined with some other stuff. That's for sure. Like, it's, like, okay. I would say this is, like, okay tier. It's really not that great. I'll probably put this in D2. This is in Brother What tier. We don't even gotta talk about that. Deferred Dots, honestly, I've just never been a big fan of. It's just not that great. Sign on the Fire. Let's take a look at this. 1030 fire damage and 2 overtimes. Or, if you have 3 overtimes, then you get 1680 damage. So, it does have low pip cost. I will say, though, it takes quite a bit of setup, though. And me personally, I think that the 11 pip version might be better. I will say this is probably like maybe high C, you know, going towards B tier, in my opinion. Scorching Scimitar. Again, this is fine. I don't really see situations where people are going to use this. What else did we have like this? Let's see. I think all the 4 pips are like okay. Like this will be okay. Did I have anything else that was like it? I still don't think Snowball Barrage is that great. Like, these are just better for the low pip cost, in my opinion. These are like borderline C, in my opinion. But like, I would just put them at B just because B is kind of lonely, you know? Don't leave B alone. Let's see. Raging Bull, easily A tier. Very high A tier. I wouldn't say over-reliable tier because it is still like a pretty niche type of use, using overtimes in your strategies. But the fact that you have a reliable enabler for DOTs is solid, especially considering that they get boosted for 160% damage. So basically, I think it's like a 60% blade, I guess, if you want to put it that way, for a DOT, unless it's way more than that and I'm just doing the math wrong. So yeah, this is a solid spell. Fire from Above. You prefer the original version. This is like whatever. Also, I don't think I'll be making the video out of this. I'll be real with you, chat. Yeah, I stumble on my words way too much. Maybe I'll maybe go over some of the extra stuff, and we'll just see. Sign of Storm. So for a 9 pip spell, you get 1175 storm damage, or if you gambit 4 blades, 1970. This is okay. I'd say this is like around B. I think the original is probably better though. Oh, shoot. Just do the blade. There you go. Alright, next one. Iron Sultan. 485 damage, select target, and a minus 40% or a negative aura for 4 rounds. This is fine. I would say it's pretty decent, but again, you could just simply take it off. Like, a mob can just simply take it off if they really wanted to. And typically the AI tends to do that, so it's probably C. I guess at the very least, like, it'll increase somewhat of Storm survivability, assuming that they don't just cast an aura right away afterwards. Sound Musicology, 645 Storm damage, and a Chromatic 40% blades. You get 2 of them. This is fine. You will probably prefer the top version though. Glowbug Squall. Yeah, this is also like meh. Hungry Caterpillar. You get basically a better heal over time, which is kind of nice, but at this point it just becomes like a shield breaker, and it's just kind of whatever. Ooh, Grenadier though. 485 life damage, and you activate 2 heal overtime cards. and get a boost of 115% of its value. Now, I don't know if that means like you just get a 50% boost or you actually get like a full 115, but regardless, that's pretty decent. I don't know what the situation is with Regenerate. I don't know if it's still like 2 heal overtimes. I think it's just 1 depending on the path you do, but that's pretty good. Honestly, I think that's pretty good. It could have its use. I would say this is probably like we're eyeing on B territory with this one. This could have its uses. Sign of Life. So, for 7 pips, 860 life deferred dot damage, or if you have 3 overtimes, this is just better than the original. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just... We're gonna put that reliable right there. Yep. Lamasu. 335 life damage, select target, and a plus that... Okay, yep. You could definitely see a Life Wizard using this. This is super solid. Because you get yourself a 45% buff. That's basically a blade. That's essentially a blade. For 4 rounds. Just for you. Just for you. I think this is great. That's actually really good. Good shield breaker. Good weakness removal. And you still get like a nice buff out of it. So yeah, that's definitely reliable worthy. Lord of the Jungle. 535 selected life target damage. And some blades and stuff. So kind of like the original. It's kind of whatever. Wings of Fate. 80 damage, select target, then deferred dot damage, then you get a heal overtime. If this was overtime damage, I would probably put this higher. Because this is deferred dot though, I would probably eye this maybe like D tier. If it only did like overtime damage, it'd be a decent shield breaker and you get a really nice heal out of it. You can then also combo with Grenadier if you happen to have 2 shads. But as it stands, it's kind of whatever. Snake Charmer. Brother, what tier? What is this? Sound of Myth. So for 9 pips, you get 835 myth damage, or if you gambit 4 traps, it's 415 myth damage. I think this is okay. You probably will prefer the 11 pip version. Mystic Colossus. You steal 4 shields, and then you do some 375 myth damage. This could have its uses in some bosses, as a way to really just kind of, I guess for survivability purposes, kind of like, you know, just steal the good shields from them and just keep them to yourself. Like, I guess it's okay. If it's 4 shield per enemy, that's kind of insane, but I think it's 4 shields in total. I think it's probably C. It's okay. I don't really see people using this, but I would say it's one of the more useful ones in very specific scenarios. Witch's House Call. Yeah, this is just D. Barbarian Saga. 560 myth damage, and then you do 2 overtime damage overtime myth damage for 490. In PvP, this will be insane. I'm not gonna lie. PvE though? It's kind of whatever. Like, typically you want to kind of have a boss killer type card, and this just kind of isn't going to be that boss killer card that you'll be looking for. But it has its use. I would say, like, compared to, like, all these D tier cards, though, it's one of the better ones. Tatsu Worm. So, works similar to, like, these 4-pip ones, but, like, it's the 5-pip. You probably would prefer the top path anyway. You're ranking the new Shad Spellement paths? Yeah, just, like, the new stuff. Just, like, the new stuff that, like, was teased and stuff. I'm basically ranking them by potential PvE reliability, which is, like, very, like... It's, like, varying degrees of opinions. Like, let's just keep it a buck. Like, you're gonna want your blade into AoE anyways. Like, if I were to put, like, the all-reliable tier from these spells, all, like, the blades and auras are probably gonna be in the all-reliable tier, because that's, like, all you need. But if we're just talking about, like, general, maybe you can see people using this for one reason or another, then, like, fine. 75%? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Even for Peeve? That's crazy. For Peeve, that's crazy. I mean, I could kind of see it though. I can kind of see it being cheeks even for PvE. But for PvE, some of these are actually pretty solid. They're pretty interesting. But Tats of Worm though, yeah, it's like D. This Ice Bat, 490 ice damage, and then you Gambit 3 shields for minus 30% weaknesses. That's cheeks. A lot of these magic wheel stuff has been not great. Balanced Tar, basically. 530 and then 370. I mean 550 damage and then 370 balance damage, and then you get a 35% trap per shield on the enemy. That's the Brother What tier. This is basically like the balanced tier. Let's keep it a buck. Frost Ghoul, I'm guessing is what this is. You get a 375 Ice Drain, then you Gambit 2 weaknesses for 45% Death Blades. Honestly, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's like okay. Yeah, that's like okay. Probably like C or something. That's like okay. I guess the Balance Pirate, 430 damage and a negative aura, 50% death damage if the enemy has heal overtime. The likelihood of just having heal overtimes on enemies in general PvE, it's just like, honestly, most of the time doesn't exist. And it's a situation where like they could just change the aura anyway. So like you have to kind of bank on them not changing the aura right away. And chances are they're programmed to use an aura if they take damage anyway. So not that great. Silent of Death, 710 Death Drain, or you Gambit 4 weaknesses for 1360 Death Drain. Yeah, this is good. I mean, these signs are not bad. Most of these are not bad, except for the Myth one. I don't know what the heck they were thinking about the Myth one. The Myth one, honestly, like, the more I looked at it, it was like, it's kind of cheeks. You kind of would prefer the, whatchamacallit, the PvE version. But, like, obviously, Silent of Ice, obviously it was going to be good. Silent of Life, obviously was going to be good, because the former is just not that great. Silent of Death ain't that bad, though. It should be relatively easy to set up, too. Grim Reader, that's actually pretty good. I say that's like a B. Are you gonna really use this? Probably not, but like, I think that's actually pretty good. Is this single target, or is this AOE? I think this is a single target. If it's single target, minus 40%. I'll probably leave this at low B for that one. Call of Cthulhu, select target 385 Death Drain and a negative aura of minus 30% damage. Again, if they change the aura, it becomes kind of useless. It's probably like high D, low C. Single target? Yeah, I think we'll still keep it like... Probably bump it down to like... Probably bump it down to C then. If it was AoE, that would be kind of crazy. In scenarios where it's like maybe double bosses or mobs that have a lot of health, which tends to happen in like every last area of the world for some reason. Kismet's Curse, select target, that's all reliable. That's definitely all reliable tier. Basically, good weakness removal in a way, good shield breaker in a way, in like mob boss scenarios, and you get a solid blade for it. That's definitely all reliable tier right there. Snack Attack. I was gonna say Sneak Attack. My Power 101 was showing. Snack Attack. Steal 4 charms of select target, and then do 460 damage. It's okay. Wing Sorrow. 615 death damage and a negative aura of minus 65 incoming healing. It's kind of whatever. Alright. Well, that's the list, y'all. So what we have here is in the all reliable tier, we got the Ice Centaur. I think this is actually really good. Getting those blades in and also being able to remove all those weaknesses, it's really solid. If you don't want the defensive version of like Evil Snowman, get the offensive version with like Ice Centaur. Pretty good. Obviously, we know why these two are an all reliable tier. It's because the other versions suck. Lamasu is a surprise pick though, just because the aura is just so good and it's going to be relatively easily used. Kisma for a similar reason. I think Raging Bull is definitely going to be a sleeper for fire wizards, but again, like if you ever want to like get into the idea of using overtime spells as your strategy just for funsies, this definitely is going to be your best enabler. This is like the only one out there other than like a lore spell and maybe some spellement path ones, but this one's just really good in my opinion. Gates of Fate, pretty decent boss mob scenario where you just kill the mob, get a field, pretty decent. Sign of Death, again, relatively easy to just kind of get the gambit for it. You can just kind of pick your poison, which one you want, because the other version would just be based on your health or the enemy's health, and at that situation, you're probably not going to be able to kind of gamble that all that well. These are just decent. And we have Sign of Storm, relatively easy to just kind of get that gambit for it. I forget what the original one does, but this one's alright. Grenadier, if we get more heal over time spells that do a lot, then like this is actually going to be really solid. And then the rest is the rest. The rest are just kind of like, maybe, but not really. So yeah. That is my opinions on the recent T spells in the sense of potential PvE viability. And that is very, very relative, by the way. I feel like, in reality, all these spells, except for, like, the all-reliable tier, in my opinion, and maybe these two spells, like, all-reliable and A tier, I could definitely see it. Everything else below it, though, probably not. And it just depends, because, like, at the end of the day, like, it's always play into AoE. That is the preferred way to play PvE. But if you are interested in trying something a little bit new, then at least here you have your general idea as to, maybe you might want to consider taking a look into. The original Storm Scion does like 2100 damage if your enemy has no blades. So yeah, I guess Storm Scion is probably like a pick your poison type of situation, where you want to kind of rely on them just not having a blade. Maybe like you use like an aftershock or something to remove all those blades and then do the hit. But then like if you're using feints, then like it's not going to be as useful. Versus one that's like a lot easier to like set up for. So I would say this is probably like A then, if that's the case. I would say like this version might be easier to set up for, because the version of enemy not having blades, that's kind of RNG specific, and unless you're fishing for first, then it's going to be a scenario where you basically are going to have to take a gamble, and chances are that gamble is not going to be that favorable towards you. Not to say it's bad, but I say either or, it's a pick your poison. So yeah, I think this is a pretty decent list. Well, I didn't expect the stream to be this small though. Again, I have a trip tomorrow, so I have to get up like at 4 AM. So with that being said, I will be leaving the stream here. If you guys did enjoy today's very small stream, it's honestly a video at this point, let's be honest here, but hey, we did some multitasking. We did a little bit of questing on the level lock character, and we will be back on schedule next week. I will be coming back from my trip to California. I know, I'm sorry, Nathaniel. It's just that, like, I'm not gonna have enough time to sleep, so we gotta, like, you know, make it short. So I can maybe get some sort of, like, enough time to sleep. So I'll be back next week, though. I do have exams coming up the moment I come back from the trip, though. So I don't think I'll be doing streams until, like, I'm not sure. Do I work Thursday? If not next week, it will be the week after, during spring break, where I will definitely be doing some stuff for streams and everything, including this series. So, as always, if you guys enjoyed the stream, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and always remember to everyone watching to stay frenzy. And also, one thing before I go, I just want to say, I do apologize for not doing much in terms of content as of recent time. Just been really busy with school and everything, but I just want you guys to know that, like, this place is definitely what I would consider like a safe place for everyone. And, you know, just be a good person. That's really all I have to say. I'm very nervous going to this plane. I'm not gonna lie. But I hope that everything goes well. I'm sure it's gonna go well. We're gonna have a great time. I'll be back, and I'll keep you guys posted. But as always, to everyone watching, remember to stay frenzy, and peace.